Welcome to Stoic Vivu, where we transform ancient wisdom into daily practices that build unshakable inner strength for modern life. I'm here to guide you through powerful principles that have helped people overcome challenges for over 2,000 years. If you're watching this, you're probably dealing with stress, uncertainty, or feeling overwhelmed by life's constant demands. Maybe you're tired of feeling like you're at the mercy of circumstances beyond your control. Perhaps you've tried various self-help approaches, but nothing seems to create lasting change. You're not alone in this struggle, and more importantly, there's a proven solution. Today, we're exploring 6 transformative daily habits rooted in ancient Stoic philosophy that will fundamentally change how you respond to life's challenges. These aren't just theoretical concepts. They're practical tools used by emperors, slaves, and everyone in between to build genuine resilience and inner peace. The Stoics understood something profound. External circumstances don't determine your happiness or success. Your response to those circumstances does. While you can't control what happens to you, you have complete control over how you interpret and respond to every situation. This simple shift in perspective has the power to transform your entire life experience. The 6 habits we'll explore today come directly from 3 of history's greatest Stoic philosophers. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the Roman Empire while facing plagues, wars, and personal tragedies, developed practices for maintaining inner strength amid chaos. Epictetus, who endured slavery and physical hardship yet became one of the most respected teachers of his time, showed us how to find freedom in any circumstance. Seneca, a successful businessman and advisor to emperors, proved that Stoic principles work in the real world of deadlines, politics, and financial pressures. These habits aren't about suppressing emotions or becoming indifferent to life. They're about developing the mental strength to stay calm under pressure, find opportunity in setbacks, and maintain your values regardless of external circumstances. They're about building the kind of inner stability that allows you to thrive rather than merely survive. Each habit we'll discuss today is designed to be implemented immediately. You don't need special equipment, extensive training, or perfect conditions. You can start practicing these techniques today, whether you're dealing with work stress in Manhattan, relationship challenges in Los Angeles, or financial pressure in Chicago. The first habit transforms how you view every challenge you face, turning obstacles into opportunities for growth. The second gives you a simple question that instantly clarifies what deserves your attention and what doesn't. The third connects your physical and mental strength in ways that ancient warriors understood. The fourth protects you from the exhausting need for external validation. The fifth helps you find genuine gifts hidden in your most difficult moments. The sixth accelerates your growth by learning from centuries of human wisdom. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete toolkit for building unshakable inner strength. You'll understand not just what to do, but exactly how to implement these practices in your daily routine. Now that you understand the power of these ancient practices, let's dive into the first transformative habit that will change how you see every challenge in your life. Daily habit 1. Turn every challenge into your strength training. Imagine this scenario. Sarah, a marketing director in Chicago, walks into her office on a Monday morning to find an email that changes everything. The company is restructuring, her department is being eliminated, and she has 30 days to find a new position within the organization or face unemployment. Her first instinct is panic, mortgage payments, her daughter's college tuition, health insurance. The familiar spiral of anxiety begins as she pictures worst-case scenarios. This exact situation has destroyed countless careers and lives. But what if I told you that this moment could become the catalyst for Sarah's greatest professional breakthrough? What if this apparent disaster could transform into her most valuable training experience? 2,000 years ago, a man named Epictetus faced challenges that make Sarah's situation seem manageable. Born into slavery, he spent 30 years in chains, enduring physical abuse that left him permanently disabled. Yet from this experience of ultimate powerlessness, he developed wisdom that would influence emperors and philosophers for centuries. His secret wasn't avoiding hardship, it was transforming hardship into strength. Epictetus taught us that every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. He understood that obstacles aren't punishments sent to break us down. They're training equipment designed to build us up. Just as a gym uses resistance to strengthen muscles, life uses challenges to strengthen character. Here's the first daily habit that will revolutionize your relationship with difficulty. Begin each morning by asking yourself, how will today's challenges make me stronger? Then, when obstacles arise, immediately reframe them by thinking, this is my strength training for the day. This isn't positive thinking or denial. This is a strategic perspective shifting based on ancient wisdom. When Sarah received that restructuring email, instead of seeing job loss, she could see an opportunity for training. Instead of viewing this as career destruction, she could recognize it as career construction, a chance to build skills, networks, and resilience she never would have developed while comfortable. The Stoics understood something profound about human nature. We grow strongest at our breaking points. Epictetus didn't become wise despite his suffering. He became wise because of it. Every injustice taught him about justice. Every moment of powerlessness revealed where his real power lay. Every physical limitation showed him the unlimited potential of his mind. Consider how this applies to modern American life. That difficult boss isn't just making your workday unpleasant. They're training you in patience, conflict resolution, and emotional regulation. The financial pressure you're experiencing isn't just stress. It's advanced coursework in resourcefulness, prioritization, and creative problem solving. The relationship conflict you're avoiding isn't just uncomfortable. It's specialized training in communication, empathy, and boundary setting. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the Roman Empire during plagues and wars, wrote in his personal journal, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He wasn't speaking theoretically. He was documenting his daily practice of transforming imperial crises into leadership training. Let me give you the practical implementation of this habit. Each evening, before bed, spend 5 minutes reviewing your day through the lens of strength training. Ask yourself 3 specific questions. What challenge did I face today? What strength did this challenge require me to develop? And how am I stronger now than I was this morning? When Sarah applies this practice to her job loss, she discovers something remarkable. This challenge is training her in networking skills she never bothered to develop. It's forcing her to articulate her value proposition more clearly than ever before. It's teaching her to manage uncertainty and maintain productivity under pressure. It's providing specialized training in resilience, adaptability, and self-advocacy. The beauty of this habit lies in its immediate applicability. You don't need to wait for major life changes to start practicing. That morning traffic jam becomes patience training. The demanding client becomes diplomatic communication training. The technology malfunction becomes a problem-solving training. The unexpected expense becomes financial creativity training. This perspective shift creates a psychological phenomenon that Stoics understood intuitively. When you view challenges as training, you approach them with curiosity rather than fear. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you start asking, "What is this teaching me?" The energy that would have gone into resistance and resentment now flows into learning and growth. Epictetus discovered something that modern psychology confirms. Our interpretation of events determines our emotional response more than the events themselves. Two people can experience identical situations and have completely different outcomes based solely on how they frame what's happening. The person who sees setbacks as training develops resilience. The person who sees setbacks as persecution develops victimhood. Here's the daily practice in concrete steps. Begin each morning by mentally preparing for challenges as training opportunities. When difficulties arise, pause and ask, "What muscle is this trying to strengthen?" End each day by reviewing what you learned and how you grew stronger. Sarah implemented this habit immediately. Instead of spending energy on anger and anxiety, she channeled everything into skill development. She treated job searching like athletic training, systematic, focused, and improvement-oriented. She used the networking process to develop relationship-building abilities. She approached interviews as public speaking training. 6 months later, she landed a position with better compensation and responsibilities than her previous job. The ancient Stoics knew that life's gymnasium never closes. Every day brings new equipment designed to strengthen different aspects of your character. The question isn't whether challenges will come. They will. The question is whether you'll waste them through resistance or transform them through training. This foundational habit of reframing challenges as strength training creates the mental framework for everything that follows. With this perspective established, the second daily practice builds upon this foundation by giving you the power to determine exactly where to focus your training energy. Daily Habit 2. Ask yourself what you actually control today. Consider this. Marcus, a financial analyst in New York City, wakes up every morning with his mind racing. The stock market volatility, his clients' unrealistic demands, the possibility of recession, his colleague's promotion that should have been his, the rising rent in Manhattan, his aging parents' health concerns in Ohio. By the time he reaches his office, he's already mentally exhausted from worrying about dozens of situations completely beyond his influence. This scenario repeats in millions of lives across America every single day. We burn enormous amounts of mental energy focusing on things we cannot control while neglecting the areas where we actually have power. The result is constant stress, decision fatigue, and a persistent feeling of helplessness despite being capable, intelligent people. 20 centuries ago, a former slave named Epictetus discovered the antidote to this exhausting way of living. Having experienced the ultimate loss of external control, he developed what would become the most practical wisdom in human history. His teaching was elegantly simple. Some things are within our power, while others are not. This isn't just philosophy, it's the foundation of mental freedom. Epictetus understood that human suffering comes primarily from trying to control things beyond our influence while ignoring the areas where we have complete authority. He called this the dichotomy of control, and it remains the most transformative concept you can apply to modern life. Here's the second daily habit that will revolutionize your focus and eliminate unnecessary stress. Each morning, ask yourself, what do I actually control today? Then create two mental lists, things within your control and things outside your control. Spend your energy exclusively on the first list. Let's examine what this looks like in practice. Marcus discovers that he cannot control market fluctuations, but he can control how thoroughly he researches investments. He cannot control his colleague's promotion, but he can control the quality of his own work and his professional development efforts. He cannot control his parents' aging process, but he can control how frequently he calls them and visits. This distinction seems obvious, yet most people violate it constantly. We worry about the weather while neglecting our umbrella. We stress about other people's opinions while ignoring our own character development. We obsess over outcomes while neglecting the processes that create those outcomes. Seneca, who managed vast business enterprises while advising emperors, understood this principle's practical power. He wrote, "It is likely that some troubles will befall us, but it is not a present fact." In other words, we suffer more in imagination than reality because we waste energy on hypothetical problems instead of focusing on actual solutions within our control. The morning control assessment becomes your daily mental hygiene routine. Just as you wouldn't leave home without brushing your teeth, you shouldn't start your day without clarifying where to direct your mental energy. This simple practice prevents the psychological pollution that comes from mixing controllable and uncontrollable concerns. Here's the specific implementation. Upon waking, before checking your phone or email, spend 3 minutes identifying what you can and cannot control that day. Write them down if necessary. Throughout the day, when you notice stress or anxiety, ask yourself, is this something I control? If yes, take action. If no, redirect your attention to something you can influence. For Marcus, this practice transforms his entire work experience. Instead of arriving at the office mentally depleted from worrying about market conditions, he arrives focused on the specific research tasks, client communications, and skill development activities within his control. His productivity increases dramatically because his energy flows toward actionable items rather than abstract concerns. The evening review completes this habit. Before bed, Marcus examines his day. Where did I waste energy on uncontrollable factors? Where did I successfully focus on controllable elements? How can I improve this distinction tomorrow? This reflection strengthens his ability to maintain the separation between influence and concern. Marcus Aurelius, who controlled the Roman Empire yet faced plagues, wars, and political crises beyond his complete command, practiced this principle daily. In his personal journal, he reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Even an emperor recognized that true power comes from controlling your responses, not your circumstances. The psychological benefits of this practice are immediate and profound. When you focus exclusively on controllable factors, several things happen. Decision-making becomes clearer because you're not paralyzed by irrelevant variables. Stress decreases because you're not fighting unchangeable realities. Confidence increases because you're taking action in areas where you can create results. And energy levels rise because you're not depleting yourself through futile resistance. Consider how this applies to common modern challenges. You cannot control whether you get the job, but you can control how well you prepare for the interview. You cannot control whether your relationship survives, but you can control how honestly and kindly you communicate. You cannot control market performance, but you can control your investment strategy and financial education. This habit requires constant practice because our minds naturally drift toward uncontrollable concerns. Evolution wired us to scan for threats, many of which are now psychological rather than physical. The modern environment bombards us with information about situations we cannot influence. Global politics, celebrity drama, economic predictions, other people's choices. The Stoics developed this practice as mental training. Just as physical exercise strengthens muscles through repetition, repeatedly asking, "What do I control?" strengthens your ability to distinguish between influence and concern. Over time, this becomes automatic, creating what psychologists now call an internal locus of control, the belief that your actions determine your outcomes. Marcus implements this habit religiously. 6 months later, his colleagues notice the change. He's calmer under pressure, more decisive in uncertain situations, and remarkably productive despite market volatility. His secret isn't superior intelligence or better circumstances. It's superior focus on controllable factors. This mental discipline creates the foundation for our third daily practice, which builds on this focused energy by connecting your physical and mental training. Daily Habit 3: Train your body to train your mind. Let's set the scene. Jennifer, a software engineer in Los Angeles, spends 14 hours daily hunched over her computer. Between coding, meetings, and late-night debugging sessions, her entire existence revolves around mental work. By evening, she's mentally exhausted yet physically restless. Her back aches, her shoulders are tight, and despite her mental fatigue, she struggles to fall asleep. She's trapped in a cycle where her mind is overworked while her body is completely neglected. This disconnection between physical and mental well-being affects millions of Americans. We've created a culture that treats the body as merely a transportation device for the brain, forgetting that these systems are intimately connected. The ancient Stoics understood something we've forgotten. Physical training isn't separate from mental development. It's essential to it. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor who ruled Rome while facing wars and plagues, made time for physical training despite the enormous demands of imperial leadership. He hunted, rode horses, and wrestled because he understood that mental resilience requires physical discipline. The emperor who wrote the most influential philosophy book in history was also an athlete. Epictetus taught that you have power over your mind, not outside events. But he knew that accessing this mental power requires developing the physical foundation that supports it. The same discipline required to push through physical discomfort translates directly to pushing through mental challenges. Here's the third daily habit that will strengthen both your body and mind. Engage in at least 20 minutes of physical training each day, treating it as mental discipline practice rather than just exercise. During this training, deliberately practice pushing past the point where your mind tells you to quit. This isn't about becoming an Olympic athlete or achieving perfect fitness. This is about using physical resistance to build mental resilience. Every time you override your body's initial desire to stop, you're strengthening the same neural pathways that help you persist through difficult conversations, challenging projects, and stressful situations. For Jennifer, this transformation begins with a simple morning routine. Instead of rolling out of bed and immediately checking her phone, she spends 20 minutes doing bodyweight exercises, push-ups, squats, planks, and burpees. The first week is miserable. Her muscles ache. She's out of breath quickly, and every instinct screams at her to quit. But she pushes through because she understands this is mental training disguised as physical exercise. The ancient Stoics weren't the only ones who recognized this connection. Spartan warriors trained their bodies not just for combat effectiveness, but for mental toughness. They knew that the discipline required to maintain physical conditioning in harsh conditions was the same discipline needed for courage in battle. Modern neuroscience confirms what the ancients knew intuitively. Physical exercise literally changes brain structure. It increases the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which grows new neural connections. It reduces cortisol levels while increasing endorphins. It improves focus, memory, and emotional regulation. But beyond these biochemical changes, physical training provides something even more valuable: proof that you can overcome resistance. The specific implementation involves 3 components: morning movement, resistance training, and discomfort practice. Jennifer starts each day with 5 minutes of stretching to reconnect with her body after hours of sleep. Then she performs 15 minutes of exercises that challenge her: bodyweight movements, resistance bands, or brief cardio intervals. The key is choosing activities that require mental effort to complete. During these sessions, Jennifer practices what the Stoics called prosoke, attention to the present moment. Instead of letting her mind wander to work problems or daily stresses, she focuses entirely on the physical sensations of movement. This develops the mental discipline of sustained concentration, which translates directly to improved focus during coding sessions. The most crucial element is discomfort practice. When Jennifer's muscles start burning during planks, when her lungs demand more oxygen during burpees, when every fiber of her being wants to stop, this is where the real training happens. By pushing through these moments of discomfort, she's literally rehearsing the mental toughness needed for professional challenges. Seneca, who balanced business success with philosophical wisdom, wrote extensively about voluntary hardship. He would practice sleeping on hard floors, eating simple foods, and taking cold baths to build mental resilience. This wasn't masochism. It was strategic preparation for life's inevitable difficulties. For modern Americans, this principle translates to deliberately choosing physical challenges that mirror mental ones. Cold showers teach you to handle discomfort without panic. Hill running develops persistence through sustained effort. Weightlifting demonstrates that growth requires progressive resistance. The transformation in Jennifer's life extends far beyond fitness metrics. After 3 months of consistent morning training, she notices profound changes in her work performance. Debugging sessions that previously frustrated her become interesting puzzles. Difficult client meetings feel manageable because she's already practiced staying calm under physical stress. Tight project deadlines don't trigger anxiety because she's conditioned herself to perform under pressure. The evening component involves reflection on the day's training. Jennifer asks herself, where did I want to quit today? And how did I push through? How did this morning's physical training affect my mental state throughout the day? What connection can I make between physical and mental resistance? This habit creates what psychologists call transfer of training. Skills developed in one domain automatically improve performance in another. The mental toughness built through physical exercise transfers to professional resilience, relationship patience, and life satisfaction. Marcus Aurelius understood that the emperor who could push through physical exhaustion during military campaigns could also push through the mental fatigue of governance. The same inner strength that enables you to complete one more repetition enables you to have one more difficult conversation, work one more hour on an important project, or maintain composure during one more stressful situation. The beauty of this practice lies in its accessibility. You don't need expensive equipment or gym memberships. Your living room becomes your training ground. Your body becomes your resistance equipment. Every moment of physical discomfort becomes an opportunity to practice mental toughness. With your body and mind now working in harmony through daily training, you're ready to develop the fourth habit that protects you from the exhausting need for external validation. Daily habit 4. Measure success by your own standards. Picture this situation. David, a marketing manager in Houston, checks his LinkedIn feed every morning and feels his confidence drain away. Former colleagues are announcing promotions. Peers are sharing vacation photos from exotic locations, and competitors are celebrating major client wins. Despite having a stable job, loving family, and steady progress in his career, David feels like he's falling behind. The constant comparison to others' highlight reels leaves him questioning his own worth and achievements. This scenario plays out millions of times daily across social media platforms and office environments throughout America. We've created a culture of external scorekeeping where our self-worth depends on how we measure against others rather than our own growth and values. The result is an exhausting cycle of comparison that robs us of satisfaction and authentic confidence. 2,000 years ago, Seneca faced similar pressures in Roman society, where status, wealth, and political position determined social standing. Yet he developed an approach that freed him from the tyranny of external validation. He wrote, "It is likely that some troubles will befall us, but it is not a present fact. How much trouble there is in the fact itself, and how much we add to it by our own fault." The Stoics understood a profound truth. External validation is fundamentally unreliable because it depends on factors beyond your control. Other people's opinions, market conditions, timing, and countless variables you cannot influence. Building your self-worth on external metrics is like constructing a house on shifting sand. Here's the fourth daily habit that will liberate you from the exhausting need for others' approval. Create your own internal scorecard based on your values, effort, and character growth. Then measure your daily progress exclusively against these personal standards. This practice begins with defining what Warren Buffett called your inner scorecard, the metrics that truly matter to your character and long-term fulfillment. For David, this means identifying his core values, being present for his family, developing expertise in digital marketing, maintaining integrity in client relationships, and contributing to his team's success. The morning implementation involves a brief review of your internal scorecard. David asks himself 3 questions. What values will I honor today? What effort will I give regardless of outcomes? How will I grow in character? This sets his focus on controllable factors rather than external comparisons. Throughout the day, David practices redirecting his attention from external metrics to internal ones. When he sees a colleague's promotion announcement, instead of feeling diminished, he asks, "Am I developing my skills consistently? Am I adding value to my team? Am I living according to my principles?" These questions shift focus from comparison to personal accountability. Marcus Aurelius, despite being the most powerful person in the Roman Empire, practiced this internal measurement daily. In his personal journal, he wrote reminders to himself about focusing on virtue and character rather than external recognition. Even an emperor understood that true success comes from internal standards, not external validation. The evening review becomes David's most powerful practice. Each night, he evaluates his day against his internal scorecard. Did I give my best effort in client meetings? Was I present during family time? Did I maintain my integrity when facing pressure? How did I grow today? This reflection builds genuine confidence based on actual performance rather than comparison to others. Seneca taught that happiness comes not from having what you want, but from wanting what you have while continuously improving yourself. This perspective transforms daily work from a competition against others into a collaboration with your future self. You're not trying to beat your colleagues. You're trying to become the best version of yourself. The practical application involves 3 daily practices: morning standard setting, midday redirection, and evening assessment. In the morning, David identifies which values he'll prioritize and what effort he'll give. During the day, when he notices comparison thoughts, he redirects to his internal metrics. In the evening, he honestly assesses his performance against his own standards. This habit requires distinguishing between achievement and fulfillment. Achievement often depends on external factors, market conditions, organizational politics, timing, and luck. Fulfillment comes from knowing you've lived according to your values and given your best effort regardless of outcomes. Consider how this applies to common modern challenges. You cannot control whether you get the promotion, but you can control the quality of work you submit. You cannot control your colleagues' social media success, but you can control your own skill development. You cannot control market performance, but you can control your investment discipline and financial education. David discovers something remarkable after implementing this practice. His work performance actually improves when he stops worrying about external validation. His energy, previously scattered across comparison and anxiety, now flows entirely into value creation. His confidence becomes unshakable because it's based on effort and character rather than others' opinions. The psychological benefits extend beyond professional life. David's relationships improve because he's no longer seeking validation from family and friends. His parenting becomes more intentional because he measures success by presence and guidance rather than his children's achievements. His marriage strengthens because he focuses on being a good partner rather than comparing his relationship to others. Epictetus taught that wealth consists in not having great possessions, but in having few wants. This principle applies to validation as well. True confidence consists not in having others' approval, but in needing little external validation because your internal standards provide sufficient guidance. The ancient Stoics practiced this because they understood that external scoreboards constantly change based on factors beyond your control. Today's success becomes tomorrow's expectation. Yesterday's achievement becomes today's minimum standard. The external scoreboard is rigged against lasting satisfaction. David's transformation illustrates this principle perfectly. 6 months after implementing his internal scorecard, colleagues notice his increased confidence and productivity. Ironically, this improvement based on internal standards leads to external recognition, a promotion he earns not by seeking validation, but by focusing entirely on value creation. This foundation of internal validation creates the perfect setup for our 5th habit: which transforms your relationship with setbacks and failures. Daily Habit 5. Find the gift hidden in every problem. Envision this scenario. Rachel, a tech startup founder in Seattle, watches her company's biggest client walk away after 18 months of partnership. The contract represented 60% of her revenue, and losing it means potential layoffs, delayed product development, and possibly shutting down the business she's built over 3 years. As she sits in her empty conference room, staring at the termination notice, every instinct tells her this is a disaster, pure and simple. This moment represents the kind of setback that destroys many entrepreneurs and sends others into months of depression and self-doubt. The natural human response is to view such events as punishment, bad luck, or evidence that success isn't meant for us. We waste enormous energy fighting reality, asking why me, and dwelling on how unfair life can be. But what if this devastating moment could become Rachel's greatest gift? What if this apparent catastrophe could transform into her most valuable opportunity? Marcus Aurelius, who faced plagues, wars, and political betrayals while ruling the Roman Empire, discovered something profound about adversity. He wrote in his personal journal, "Very little is needed to make a happy life." More importantly, he practiced what the Stoics called amor fati, literally love of fate, the discipline of finding genuine gratitude for everything that happens, especially the difficult experiences. This wasn't naive optimism or denial. Marcus Aurelius understood that life's greatest gifts often come disguised as problems. The plague that threatened his empire forced innovations in governance and public health. The military campaigns that exhausted him developed his leadership abilities. The personal losses that broke his heart deepened his wisdom and compassion. Here's the 5th daily habit that will transform your relationship with setbacks. Each evening, identify one problem or challenge from your day and deliberately search for the hidden gift within it. Ask yourself, what opportunity, lesson, or strength is this situation offering me? This practice begins with understanding the difference between what happens to you and what you make it mean. Rachel's client's departure is a fact, but whether this fact represents disaster or opportunity depends entirely on her interpretation and response. The Stoics taught that events themselves are neutral. Our judgments about events create our suffering or growth. For Rachel, the evening gift-finding practice reveals surprising insights. Losing her major client forces her to diversify her customer base, something she'd been meaning to do but kept postponing. The revenue pressure pushes her to streamline operations and eliminate inefficiencies she'd ignored during profitable times. The crisis demands innovative solutions, sparking creativity that routine success had stifled. Seneca, who experienced exile, financial loss, and political persecution, wrote extensively about finding advantage in apparent disadvantage. He understood that comfort often prevents growth while adversity forces evolution. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end, he observed, recognizing that loss creates space for gain. The practical implementation involves 3 components: immediate reframing, evening reflection, and gratitude practice. When problems arise, Rachel's first step is pausing to ask, how might this situation benefit me? This doesn't mean denying the difficulty. It means opening her mind to possibilities beyond the obvious negative interpretation. The evening reflection deepens this practice. Rachel reviews her day, specifically looking for challenges that taught her something valuable, forced positive changes, or revealed hidden opportunities. The client's loss teaches her about business diversification. The stress reveals her resilience reserves. The uncertainty develops her decision-making abilities under pressure. The gratitude component seems counterintuitive but proves most powerful. Rachel actually thanks her departed client for the gift of forced growth. This isn't sarcasm. It's recognition that comfortable situations rarely push us to our potential, while difficult ones consistently do. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily, writing reminders to himself about finding value in difficulty. Confine yourself to the present, he wrote, recognizing that past regrets and future worries prevent us from extracting lessons from current challenges. The gift exists only in how we respond to present circumstances. This habit requires distinguishing between immediate pain and long-term benefit. Rachel's client's loss hurts financially and emotionally in the short term. But 18 months later, she recognizes it as the pivotal moment that transformed her from a vulnerable single-client business into a diversified, resilient company serving multiple industries. The psychological shift this creates is profound. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances, you become an active participant in creating meaning from experience. Problems transform from threats into training. Setbacks become setups for comebacks. Obstacles become opportunities for character development. Consider how this applies to common modern challenges. Job loss becomes a career redirection opportunity. Relationship endings become personal growth catalysts. Health scares become lifestyle improvement motivators. Financial pressure becomes resourcefulness training. Rejection becomes redirection toward better opportunities. The evening practice involves asking specific questions. What did today's challenges teach me about myself? How did problems push me to grow in ways comfort never could? What opportunities emerged from apparent setbacks? How am I stronger or wiser because of today's difficulties? Rachel discovers that this practice changes not just how she responds to problems, but how she approaches opportunities. When you're constantly looking for gifts in challenges, you develop enhanced pattern recognition for seeing possibilities others miss. Your mind becomes trained to find value in unexpected places. Epictetus, who transformed from slave to respected teacher, embodied this principle completely. His physical disability became the foundation for philosophical insights about true freedom. His social limitations forced him to develop inner resources that transcended external circumstances. His suffering became the source of wisdom that helped countless others. The ancient Stoics understood that resistance to reality creates suffering while acceptance creates possibility. When you stop fighting what happened and start exploring what it offers, energy previously wasted on resentment flows into creative problem-solving and growth. Rachel's transformation illustrates this perfectly. 12 months after losing her major client, she's running a more profitable, stable, and fulfilling business than ever before. The crisis that seemed like her worst nightmare became her greatest teacher, forcing innovations and improvements she never would have made voluntarily. With this foundation of finding gifts in problems, you're ready for our final habit that accelerates your growth exponentially. Daily Habit 6. Learn from others before making mistakes. Here's the scenario. Michael, a real estate entrepreneur in Miami, is preparing to launch his first property development project. He's confident in his vision, excited about the potential profits, and eager to begin construction. However, he's never developed property before, and his business plan is based entirely on his own research and assumptions. Like many ambitious Americans, Michael believes he can figure things out as he goes, learning through trial and error. This approach, learning exclusively from personal experience, represents one of the most expensive and dangerous mistakes in modern life. While Michael races toward potential disaster, he's ignoring centuries of accumulated wisdom from developers who've faced identical challenges. Their failures and successes are documented in books, case studies, and biographies, yet Michael chooses to repeat their mistakes rather than learn from their experiences. Seneca, who successfully managed vast business enterprises while serving as advisor to Emperor Nero, understood the folly of learning everything firsthand. He wrote, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." More specifically, he advocated learning from others' experiences rather than insisting on personal trial and error for every lesson. The ancient Stoics were voracious readers and students of human nature. They studied history, biography, and philosophy not as academic exercises, but as practical training for life's challenges. They understood that human beings have faced similar problems for thousands of years, and their solutions, both successful and disastrous, provide invaluable guidance for current decisions. Here's the 6th daily habit that will accelerate your growth while avoiding costly mistakes. Spend at least 30 minutes each day learning from others' experiences through books, case studies, or documented wisdom, specifically focusing on challenges similar to those you're currently facing. This practice begins with strategic reading selection. Michael discovers biographies of successful real estate developers, case studies of failed projects, and books about construction management, financing, and market analysis. Instead of learning about zoning regulations through expensive mistakes, he learns from developers who've already navigated these complexities. Seneca emphasized that we can live multiple lifetimes by studying others' experiences. Through reading, Michael gains access to decades of real estate wisdom in weeks of study. He learns about cash flow management from developers who went bankrupt, discovers risk mitigation strategies from those who survived market crashes, and understands timing principles from investors who built lasting wealth. The morning implementation involves identifying specific challenges you're facing, then seeking wisdom from those who've confronted similar situations. Michael's morning routine includes 30 minutes of targeted reading about current project challenges, financing structures, contractor management, regulatory compliance, or market timing. This isn't passive consumption, but active learning. Michael takes notes, highlights key insights, and most importantly, asks himself how each lesson applies to his specific situation. When an author describes a costly financing mistake, Michael examines his own financing strategy for similar vulnerabilities. Marcus Aurelius, despite being emperor, maintained extensive correspondence with philosophers and studied extensively throughout his life. His personal journal reveals continuous learning from other leaders, both contemporary and historical. Even at the height of Roman power, he recognized the value of learning from others' experiences. The evening reflection component involves reviewing what you learned and how it changed your thinking or approach. Michael asks himself, "What did I learn today that could prevent a costly mistake? How do others' experiences modify my current strategy? What patterns do I notice across multiple sources?" Consider the mathematical reality. personal experience provides one data point, your own. Reading provides thousands of data points from people who've faced similar challenges across different time periods, markets, and circumstances. The person who learns only from personal experience is like a scientist conducting experiments with a sample size of one. The ancient principle applies powerfully to modern challenges. Instead of learning about leadership through management mistakes that damage teams, study how effective leaders handle difficult situations. Rather than discovering work-life balance through burnout and relationship damage, learn from those who've successfully integrated career ambition with personal fulfillment. Michael's transformation demonstrates this principle perfectly. His original business plan, based solely on his assumptions, contained 5 major flaws that would have cost him hundreds of thousands of dollars. Through targeted reading, he discovers each flaw before breaking ground. He learns about seasonal construction delays, unexpected permit costs, contractor reliability issues, financing contingencies, and market timing factors. The specific implementation involves 3 components: morning learning, active application, and evening integration. Each morning, Michael identifies his current biggest challenge and seeks relevant wisdom. During the day, he applies insights to real decisions. Each evening, he reflects on what he learned and how it influenced his actions. This habit extends beyond professional development. Michael reads about successful marriages before his wedding, studies effective parenting before having children, and learns about financial planning before making investment decisions. He treats every major life area as learnable through others' documented experiences. Seneca understood that wise people learn from everyone. Successful people provide positive models, while unsuccessful people offer cautionary tales. Michael studies both real estate success stories and failure analyses, extracting valuable lessons from each. Failed developers teach him what to avoid, while successful ones show him what to emulate. The psychological benefit proves as valuable as the practical knowledge. When you're constantly learning from others, you develop humility about your own limitations while building confidence in your decision-making ability. You realize that most challenges you face have been successfully navigated by others before you. The ancient Stoics practiced this because they understood that life is short and mistakes are expensive. Why spend years learning through painful trial and error when you can learn through others' documented experiences? Why repeat failures that have been thoroughly analyzed and explained? Michael's project launches successfully 18 months later, completing on time and under budget while avoiding the major pitfalls that typically plague first-time developers. His secret wasn't superior intelligence or better market conditions. It was superior preparation through learning from others' experiences. Consequently, with all 6 daily habits now established, you possess a complete system for building unshakable inner strength through ancient Stoic wisdom. Your daily path to unshakable strength. These 6 daily habits create a complete system for building the kind of inner strength that nothing can shake. Together, they transform how you respond to every challenge, setback, and opportunity in your life. When Sarah faces her next career crisis, she immediately applies Habit 1, viewing the challenge as strength training rather than punishment. She uses Habit 2 to focus only on factors within her control, her attitude, effort, and response, rather than wasting energy on uncontrollable circumstances. Habit 3 ensures her physical training provides the mental resilience needed for difficult decisions. Habit 4 keeps her confidence intact because she measures success by her own standards rather than external validation. Habit 5 helps her find the hidden gifts in apparent disasters. And Habit 6 accelerates her learning by studying how others have successfully navigated similar situations. This integration is where the real magic happens. Marcus, David, Jennifer, Rachel, and Michael each started with specific challenges, but by implementing all 6 habits together, they developed something more valuable than solutions to individual problems. They built unshakable inner strength that serves them in every area of life. The ancient Stoics understood that these practices work synergistically. Physical training enhances mental clarity. Internal validation supports authentic decision-making. Learning from others prevents costly mistakes, while viewing challenges as gifts accelerates growth. When you focus only on controllable factors, every other habit becomes more effective. Your journey begins today with a simple choice. Will you continue responding to life reactively, or will you proactively build the inner strength that transforms every experience into growth? The difference between these approaches determines whether you merely survive life's challenges or use them to become the strongest version of yourself. Start with whichever habit resonates most strongly with your current situation. If you're facing major challenges, begin by turning obstacles into strength training. If you feel overwhelmed, start by distinguishing what you control versus what you don't. If you're physically inactive, begin with daily mind-body training. If you seek others' approval constantly, start measuring success by internal standards. If setbacks discourage you, practice finding gifts in problems. If you're making costly mistakes, begin learning from others' experiences. Remember, Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while practicing these habits daily. Epictetus transformed from slave to respected teacher through these principles. Seneca built lasting wealth and influence while maintaining these practices. These aren't theoretical concepts. They're proven tools for building extraordinary inner strength. The path forward is clear. Implement one habit at a time until all 6 become natural parts of your daily routine. Within months, you'll notice profound changes in how you handle stress, make decisions, and respond to adversity. Within a year, you'll possess the kind of unshakable inner strength that allows you to thrive regardless of external circumstances. If this video helped you understand the power of daily Stoic practices, please subscribe to the Stoic Vivu channel for more ancient wisdom applied to modern life. Like this video if you're committed to building unshakable inner strength, and share it with anyone who could benefit from these transformative habits. Together, we're building a community of people committed to living with genuine resilience and wisdom. Your journey to unshakable inner strength starts now.